Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs, and almost 2 years ago, I started a tournament called the Advanced Wars Master League, where I invited 64 of some of the best players in the world to go head-to-head in a single elimination-style tournament. And just a few days ago, that tournament finally concluded. It almost took 2 years. It was like 1 year, 11 months, 12 days, or something crazy like that. Almost 2 years. Now, why did it take so long? Well, I gave the players an insane amount of increments because I didn't want them to drop out due to lack of time. Something that happened quite a lot in the early tournaments that were hosted over at Advanced Wars by Web. They had like 1 day increments, which a lot of people didn't like. So a lot of the matches were spoiled due to people just not having enough time. Now, of course, giving the players insane increments is a bit of a double-edged sword. First of all, it means that the tournament takes forever to complete. The second of all actually means that a lot of players did end up dropping out anyway because, you invite a bunch of semi-retired players to a tournament that spans 2 years, not all of them are going to stick around for it. That's just the sad reality of it. I ended up hosting or casting 6 games from this tournament in total. You can go check it out in the playlist below. There were 64 games total, but a lot of them did end out in dropouts and like early resigns. But the games that I did cast were all absolutely amazing. This tournament has produced some of the best games I've ever had the pleasure of casting. Some of my favorites, Poland versus Jokas, that was absolutely an incredible match. And the last one I did, the semifinals, Toulouse versus Gargantus, that was like one of the best games I have ever casted in my life. No joke. So definitely check out the playlists if you have time. There's some really, really great matches in there. Now, today we're going to be casting the 7th game, and I just would like to reiterate that all the ad revenue generated by this entire tournament will be donated to a charity of the winner's choice. Furthermore, if you make a comment with any kind of donation attached to it, like $5, $10, I will donate anything that gets donated on this series to the players. So if you'd like to tip each of these players for their contributions and hard work in this tournament, leave a comment with a bit of a tip added to it, and I will donate that straight over to the players. So thank you in advance to anyone who decides to do that. Now, today we have 2 incredibly strong players, Toulouse and Nanova. These 2 players are just incredible, right? Toulouse, one of the best players in the world, very underrated in terms of MMR. He could easily be 1600 if he wanted to. Nanova, another incredibly strong player, could also easily be 1600 if he wanted to, I think. Both of them have won a lot of tournaments, as you can see. Nanova won the Mariner Cup, and Toulouse has 2 tournament wins under his belt. Just incredible players all around. Let's go through the brackets and actually take a look at the journey that both of them undertook to get here. So let's see, here they are. So yeah, Nanova and Toulouse. Let's go through Toulouse. Toulouse beat Gargantus in an absolutely amazing semifinals. He beat Humpelmann, an incredibly strong player. Raka, incredible strong player. He beat Witty, which is also a very competent player, content creator. And he also beat Headpats from Senpai. This was a very interesting account. I thought this was an alt at first, I remember. And Nanova has also gone through a lot of titans. He's beaten Shiu, he's beaten Gadefs, he's beaten Emorellum, Arya Fireheart, and Fabian Soaring Mind. Just a very, very long journey that both of these players have undertaken to get here. 2 years they have fought through this tournament to get through the finale. And here they are, facing off on one of my favorite maps of all time. Spring in general. Oh, I love this map so much. Mixed base map, base race map. Basically how it works is black player wants to attack this base and take it quickly. Blue player wants to attack this base and take it quickly. And whoever can take the base quickly or quicker than the opponent usually has a big edge, because then they can produce units. And then usually you get sort of like a north versus south engagement in the middle here if both players take their bases around the same time. Or if one player takes the base really quickly, the other player usually just gives up. There's airports, which allows you to build bombers and come around here. You only have 1 base, so you're pretty much on the clock whether or not, like, you're not going to live. You're not going to hold this base, but you just need to hold out for as long as possible. Let's take a look at the CO matchups, shall we? So Toulouse went with the safe pick, Von Bolt. Von Bolt is pretty decent in base race scenarios because, of course, defense is really strong. He plonks a medium tank, a neo tank, or a mega tank on top of his base. It's going to be very hard to get rid of that with just artillery thanks to his defense. And, Ex Machina can also be incredibly nasty in a base race scenario where, you can stun your opponent swarming your base. and buy you that extra turn. Can be incredibly good. It can also be used offensively. If you hit the base that you are attacking, you lock the unit in place so that it's unable to actually move off the base. So Von Bolt is actually a very competent base race CO. And Nonova here decided to go with Sasha. I think maybe he predicted that Toulouse would go Hawk. So I like tier 1 because it's a bit like, I wouldn't say it's a rock paper scissor matchup because all of the tier 1 COs can fight each other. But I will say Von Bolt has an edge against Sasha. I think we can all agree. Now, a lot of people may say, oh, but Von Bolt has a huge power meter. Yeah, sure, he'll never actually be able to use his power against Sasha, but that's not the point. Sasha is up against 10-10. And sure, when she pops her Market Crash, she also briefly gets 10-10, but that's only during her power. Outside of her power, she will have to contend with Von Bolt's day-to-day every single time. Now, of course, she does have that extra cash from bases, so she gets tanks a little bit more often and whatnot. But generally speaking, the consensus is Sasha has a hard time against Von Bolt, because having no firepower and defense bonuses and going up against a CO that has 10-10 is just incredibly rough. So Nonova definitely facing a bit of an uphill battle here in the early stages of the game. Just like it's just a tricky matchup. It's just a tricky matchup. Sure, the Ex Machina is never going to come into play, but that day-to-day is just terrifying, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how both of these players will play this finale out. I am super excited to cast it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get started. So we are replay. Oh, there you go. I didn't actually have replay selected. I was like, why isn't anything happening when I'm clicking my buttons? All right, so we have a big gun, ladies and gentlemen. Toulouse. Oh, he's in the black trunks. You know, I would give him his purple lightning colors, but the color blindness is just like, I'm sorry, Toulouse. I know the Eiffel Tower is your jam, but it's just, you know, Sasha has to be blue, and I can't do blue-purple. My color blindness will not allow it. But yeah, we have Toulouse in the black trunks playing as Von Bolt, Nonova in the blue trunks playing as Sasha. I still have the dual strength, like, alternate portraits enabled. I know some of you guys don't like them, but I kind of find it refreshing to look at something different when I cast, so yeah. Anyway, so the start of spring in general is pretty clear-cut, cookie-cutter. Not really a lot of alterations going on right here. Seeing early artillery is pretty normal when you play this match, because again, you do sort of want to blow down this pipe seam, or even if you don't, this artillery has a lot of things that it can do. It can lock down these two properties, for example. Just artillery first on spring in general is very classic. So neither player going airport super early. Toulouse is heading towards it on day 4 right now, and he's actually opening up a tank, not artillery. So interesting choice by Toulouse here. You could, like, there are many, like, I'm actually a little bit surprised by Nonova's decision to go tank on left side here, or artillery on left side, because usually you want to build the artillery here to eventually blow up in this pipe seam, so your tanks have a clearer reinforcement or path to strike this base right here. But it could be that Nonova wants to destroy the pipe seam to get air units over here, or maybe he just wants to control some properties up in the middle of the map. No, he's going for the pipe seam. So he's going to try and go early on, very aggressive against Toulouse. He's probably going to get battlecopters out, bombers out. Now, one thing that you actually can do, which is a bit interesting, is you can... Toulouse can build an anti-air here, and then kind of like, if you actually blast open this pipe seam, you can threaten the airport. Of course, all Nonova has to do is just build a tank, but it is something that I've seen in some games, where if you blast open the pipe seam too early, they can actually lock your airport down, which is kind of annoying. You can. There's also another aspect to this artillery that is kind of nice, is that you also deny this city. Toulouse would ideally like to capture this city, but he can't now that the artillery is here, so he has to just forgo it. Now, this city will end up in Nonova's hands anyway at some point, but you can still hold on to it for a good majority of the early game. So Toulouse moving forward right here. He's actually sending his tank south, so he's going to apply a little bit of pressure here on Nonova's left-hand side. He's going to deny... I mean, he is actually threatening... Well, this will be captured, but he's threatening... Like, he's currently denying these two properties right here. And this is smart, because he's kind of distracting Nonova a little bit. Nonova wants to focus all he has on just attacking this base, but Toulouse is like, hey, sup? Got a little tank right here. So this is interesting. So no further... Oh, did he just base skip? I think he just base skipped. Yeah. Wow. Interesting. So Toulouse base skips right here to get a tank out on his weak side. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do here. Like, what's his game plan? Base skipping on Spring in general can be done. I mean, you have 4 bases. So base skipping is not as egregious on this map, but it is still uncommon to see it done like this. Like, unit count is still incredibly important. And but I guess Toulouse just really wanted an early game tank here to help protect him against the fact that Nanova is going artillery here and to blast up this pipe seam means that he is going to get very aggressive. He's going to try and rush this base down. And since Toulouse has not built an artillery, he's not going to be able to blast open this pipe seam the same way. He can eventually build a bomber and blast it open like that. But this is interesting. Interesting base skip from Toulouse right here. And of course, Von Bolt does love it when there are like early infantry engagements and whatnot. Nova actually going in, and you can see just how scary Von Bolt's infantry are. Like, you attack and you take more damage than you do. That's always kind of devastating to see. You know, that's not something you like to see most of the time, but that's exactly what happened. So, and of course, Nanova, every property that he gets is worth more to him as Sasha, so it is in Toulouse's best interest to try and deny some of these caps right here. And as you can see, because Toulouse didn't go artillery first here, Nanova's going to get this city, and Nanova's going to have a bit of an eco advantage right here. So Toulouse actually does have to back off here because this tank is on this base and it threatens this property, so yeah, that's a good interrupt from Nanova right here. But here, Toulouse is getting very feisty with this tank right here. And he plonks it down on the slab, and let me tell you, it is tough for Sasha to get rid of this tank without artillery support. 40% defense this tank has. It's on a property. And so, this is actually very smart by Toulouse. He is denying Nanova this harbor. So he's inflicting actually serious economic harm to Nanova, and even if Nanova builds a tank and attacks, it is actually going to lose this engagement unless he pulls his artillery back. So Toulouse may be wanting to deny Nanova the ability to break open this pipe seam. And now Toulouse is also moving in, targeting these properties right here. Another tank coming out, Toulouse playing extremely aggressive, and that is how you should play Von Bolt against Sasha. You should be extremely aggressive, you should pressure your opponent. Bully your opponent with that day-to-day. Don't let them sit comfortably back and generate up an economy. Just take the fight to them immediately. So interesting openers from both players right here. Nanova going the classic artillery opening, trying to open up a pathway right here. I'm expecting at some point he might even build an artillery on this side to blast open this pipe seam. But Toulouse here being extremely aggressive with his tanks in the early game. And Nanova's like, nah, I'm just going to keep blasting open this pipe seam. I am good, he says. And goes for another interrupt. Oof. Almost loses 2 infantry in the process, but he wants to deny these properties as long as he can to try and slow Toulouse down. At this point, Nanova has a win condition, and that is take this base faster than Toulouse. If he can do that, it doesn't matter how aggressive Toulouse is in the early game. If Nanova can take this base before and survive, then he'll be in a good position. But let's see what Toulouse is going to do to deny that. So both players moving out. Mech from Nanova here. Mechs can actually be pretty decent in Spring in general because they have a lot of mountains to park themselves in. It's not super common to see them, but you can definitely see them sometimes. Alright, Toulouse's turn. Let's see what he does. Goes for the capture. Finishes capturing his comm towers, and now he has that 10% firepower. And you can see just the things that Von Bolt can get away with, man. Moves out with his tank. Goes for these 2 captures right here on 4-9 and 111. And he pulls his tank back, actually. I guess that was just, like, temporarily denying his eco a little bit. Goes for an interrupt here at 2009. And day 7 rolls in for Nanova. Let's see what he can do right here. Will he finish blasting open the pipe seam? I'm assuming he will. I'm curious to see if an artillery is going to come out here. Goes for another interrupt. My goodness, Nanova has been so fixated on interrupting this game. Picks off the injured infantry and another interrupt. He just doesn't care. He completes blasting down the pipe, so now he has an open pathway right to Toulouse's base. And what's so scary about this artillery is that it can also, like, in about 2 turns, this artillery can move like this, plonk itself down on the harbor, and deny the base. I have actually seen some players build black boats on this harbor right here, just to deny this artillery from reaching the base lock position. Build a black boat and move it forward. It's kind of hilarious. It is a bit of an investment, but you can do it to slow your opponent down. So another infantry goes down here. And interesting, Nanova's actually using his mech to attack the pipe seam. This is smart because with the mech targeting the pipe seam, you can now destroy it in 2 hits from an artillery. So I'm expecting he probably will build an artillery here. Let's see if he does or not. So let's see. Recon and another mech. Okay. Interesting. Interesting place from Nanova right here. Recon mech. So the recon is probably to force Toulouse to build a tank on this side. And the mechs, I mean, maybe he'll just try to blast open the pipe seam with mechs. It can be done. I mean, they do about, what, 16% damage or something to the pipe seams. So, you know, with enough mechs, you can blast it open. But, I mean, I do like the mechs, actually. If you get enough of them out early, you can actually do something with them. So, but yeah, Toulouse now attacking down in the bottom left corner here with his tank. And again, this is where Von Bolt really shines in these early game brawls. It's just so hard to take cost-effective engagements against him. And, I mean, so Nanova can definitely forego this cap, move away, and attack with the tank, but then, like, he gets locked into this tank brawl with Von Bolt that you just don't want that. And interestingly enough, I'm noticing that Nanova hasn't even attempted to capture his com tower. And at this point, it might take him a little while to actually get it. So it's in Toulouse's best interest, I think, to try and deny this for a little bit. Because, you know, Toulouse is currently at 20% firepower, 10% defense. And Nanova has 0-0. That is rough to go up against. That is very rough to go up against. Like, even if you attack tanks on open terrain, you're gonna almost take more damage than you deal. It's pretty insane. But Nanova finalizes a lot of captures this turn. And he's showing that he will not be bullied by Von Bolt's day-to-day bonuses. He keeps attacking the pipe seam, this time with an infantry. And he does actually decide to brawl here, 8-5. I think this was a good luck roll. I think it very easily could have been 8-6. But yeah, like, Nanova is relentless with these captures, man. Like, he is just, he will not. Like, he is making sure that Toulouse has to fight him tooth and nail for every capture. Like, he will not allow Toulouse to get an eco advantage, which is pretty smart. You can see that Sasha day-to-day bonus really materializing here. 25k income to 20k. It does add up quite a lot over the course of a match. And now this artillery is surprisingly not going to try and lock down this base, but instead he brings it north to cover his tank. Once again, he attacks Toulouse's infantry over here. Nanova just playing masterfully here in the opening. Pre-builds an anti-air. I mean, so there is a battlecopter coming from Toulouse, so this anti-air makes sense. But the anti-air is also important against infantry. Now, if I remember correctly, I believe against Von Bolt infantry, even with anti-air, you are not guaranteed to 1 KO. And especially not on planes. And even with the com tower, I think, against planes. So you can see how tough it is to go up against Von Bolt. Like, on roads, it's a 1-hit KO. But, like, even Sasha anti-air with com tower does not one-shot Von Bolt infantry on planes. That is just really tough. You need a power to do it reliably. But yeah, look at that. I mean, Toulouse now moving out with a mech as well. Another infantry falls. And he has to pull back here. He actually does. He doesn't want to brawl. As long as Nanova pulling his artillery to deal with this, Toulouse does not want to engage in this. But if Nanova kept his artillery down here, he would have loved to do more tank brawlies down in the bottom left part of the map right here. And yeah, this is exactly what I was talking about. Toulouse taking the opportunity right now, just sits. He plunks his old man ass down on this comm tower, and he will not move away from it. Not unless he's forced to. Nonova will need an artillery here to get this tank away. Toulouse is happy to deny this comm tower for as long as he can here. And that's going to be tough for Nonova, man. Artillery coming from Toulouse right here. Alright. Day 9 rolls in. Nonova has his power ready. Will he pop it, though? He will. He decides to pop the Market Crash to get the 10-10. And even with Market Crash, man, look at that. 4 HP of damage to the infantry. Disgusting. Man, that defense is so good, man. Especially when you don't have comm towers. But he gets a lot of good engagements. Continues to attack the pipe seams with his mechs. There was a... Is the bug still active? There is a bug on the side. You can see these guys still have 3 ammo. There was a bug on the side that when you attack the pipe seam with a mech, it wouldn't lose ammo. It's showing them as having 3 ammo here, but I think they do actually have 2. I think it's just a replay, not showing properly. Apparently the way that Advanced Wars by Web codes his pipe seams is really messy. I'm not really sure the details. I just heard it was something about the way the code is written. This is why the replay viewer struggles with pipe seams when you view games. Yeah, now you can see it did update to 2 ammo right now. So, yeah, they have fixed the bug. Alright, let's see what Toulouse decides to do here. There's a big brawl taking place right here. He gets a good engagement right here on 409. Takes the tank down to 2 HP. He's bringing his own artillery down as well now. Ooh, and even attacks the artillery, bringing it down to 7 health. And now he's bringing his battlecopter to the left as well to take part in this brawl right here. It's a very interesting matchup so far. It seems like both players are not really interested in the other player's base, and they're happy to brawl in other areas, which is really cool, actually. And it's very hard to know which one is ahead right now. Toulouse builds a tank. Another tank. He builds 3 tanks this turn, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, he is loving his tanks right now. But look at Nonova's income right now. He is sitting on almost 30k funds right now. That Sasha day-to-day is really paying dividends right now. It's really adding up a lot. He's got a lot of money saved up. Let's see if he decides to tech up this turn. He takes another shot. Big tank brawl going on in the center here. This artillery taking a nice shot as well. Both players just brawling heavily in the early game right here. This is what we love to see. At least it's not a stall match, ladies and gentlemen. Battlecopter coming out on a Nova right here, and he's actually going for the harbor. Imagine if he also had an artillery here. That'd be really cool. Yeah. Yep, Toulouse is going to take this city away from him at 2307. It's just very hard because you can only attack the city with 1 vehicle. And Von Bolt's defense just makes it really, really rough. But Nonova now is moving out. He has another mech. He's got lots of mechs right now, so getting a lot of cost-effective trades right here. He continues to attack the pipe seam. I mean, next turn he'll be able to kill it with an artillery, so... It looks like Nonova now has actually set his sights on Toulouse's base, and... This is actually looking pretty bad for Toulouse, because Toulouse is kind of locked in this brawl right here, on the left side of the map. And Nonova is now suddenly just deciding to swap his focus. Like, he's now moving out, and he's going to target this base right here at 13-7, while Toulouse is still locked brawling here, so... What does Toulouse want to do? Does he want to push forward and try and take this base, or will he just continue the brawl? Let's see what he decides to do. Battlecopter comes into the center. And it is worth noting that he has an artillery lock on the comm tower if he wants to, but if he shoots on the infantry, then I do think this artillery will get wiped out. So let's see what he decides to do. Gets a nice mech shot on the tank right here. And he continues to build a lot of tanks. Even attacks tanks with the infantry. And yeah, no, he pulls the artillery back. Because, like, he could deny the comm tower for another turn. But it's just not worth it. He needs to try and keep his artillery alive. Because Nonova's going to hit his base really hard right now. Moves an artillery down here to guard against this recon. Alright, day 11. 25k in the bank. Should be enough to remove most of the power stars if he pops his power right away. Is he going to, though? Or is he going to save up a little bit? I think he's going to save up some money now, I think. Yeah, I think he will not utilize... I think he will not spend all of his money this turn. He's actually combining. He's combining his units together. He's going to wait a turn, I think, and pop a market crash, because he really doesn't want to risk the Ex Machina coming out. So... Actually, no, he does spend most of his cash. He has 1k left over, but he has a bigger income now. So I think next turn with 27k in the bank, if he pops that, I think he'll get rid of most of the Ex Machina. I think he's saving his market crash for when he wants to attack the base to get that extra 10% attack and defense. And Toulouse is going on the offense right now. He's actually brawling south though, which is interesting. He might... Maybe he's interested in trying to draw units away from this base so that he won't lose this base. But, I mean, if you look at the massive units that Nonova has moving towards... Like, this base is going to fall. I don't think there's anything he can do to stop that. Builds another anti-air. This is the problem when your opponent starts building battlecopters, is you have to build anti-air out of this weak base right here, which means you don't build vehicles. And that's kind of how you lose the base. Day 12, ladies and gentlemen. 27k in the bank. Are we going to see the market crash, or is he just going to sit on it for a little bit? Looks like he wants to generate just a little bit of power charge. He combines some infantry, pops market crash, and eliminates pretty much all but 1 star from Toulouse's power bar. Now, here's the thing. You can keep the Ex Machina in check for a long time, but you can't do it forever. At some point, if the match goes on too long, the Ex Machina might come out. Because power fatigue and stuff is eventually going to add up, but... Yeah, Nonova was waiting for the bonus, and now he's going to do a super push, and boom, base lock. Base lock right now, and he is looking really good right now. This is not good for Toulouse right here. Bomber, there it is. Bomber comes out, and that bomber, like, this base is lost right now. There's nothing Toulouse can do to stop Nonova from taking this base. Toulouse has 2 options right now. He can either scramble to try and attack Nonova's weak base, or he can maybe like do a desperate push south to try and strike this area. Either way, it's going to be rough for him right now, because Nonova has the initiative. Nonova is already attacking the base, whereas Toulouse has not even begun attacking this base right now. So, but if Toulouse mops up enough units in the center here, he could still deal so much damage to Nonova that maybe even a base behind he's still okay. But it looks like he is going to focus his attention on taking the base now. He kind of has to. And now Toulouse pretty much just has to do whatever he can. He gets a shot off on the artillery, which is very good. That is definitely going to buy him a little bit of time. At this point, even a mega tank wouldn't really do much because of the bomber. So I think at this point you just want to cut your losses. But you can see how quickly that power bar is creeping up. Like, of course, Nonova's going to get another market crash, but as you can see, it's not gonna last forever. Like, if this match goes on for too long, then you might actually see the Funbolt superpower. But yeah, the bomber's coming in, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, this base has fallen. Millions must cry. And now Nonova is just gonna... All he wants to do now is just delay Toulouse in taking this base for as long as possible, because then he's going to be 1 base ahead. Now, Toulouse, meanwhile, wants to target fire the infantry right now. This is where you go Scorched Earth. You want to attack this infantry at 1417. You want to attack this infantry at 1718. This infantry at 1413. The reason you want to do this is because you want to delay the enemy capture bonus for as long as possible. But, sadly, Toulouse has... Or Nonova has another artillery now base locking this base. So this is going to be tough for Toulouse. Very, very tough. And oh, he's like only 3 stars away from getting his Ex Machina. Nonova is cutting it very close here, but I think he realizes that there's not going to be an Ex Machina this turn, so he feels safe not popping the market crash. And Toulouse is now moving towards... He has a bomber of his own right now. So this bomber will take this base, but all he's interested in doing now is just damage Nonova's units as much as possible. 37k. Nonova banked up a large war chest last turn, and with 37k in the bank, he can now pretty much eliminate Toulouse's entire power bar, which is very smart. And he's now going for the capture. Yeah, there we go. Boom. Eliminates practically all but 1 star right here. 38k in the bank. Yeah, Toulouse never going to get that Ex Machina. And now he's even sending a lot of units north to harass and delay the capping of this base right now. And with 38k in the bank, he can just plonk down the Mega. And look at Toulouse, he doesn't have a single artillery. He has a bomber, but the bomber doesn't really do that well against the Mega Tank on a base. We'll take maybe 3 HP off it if you're lucky. So by itself, the bomber will take several turns to get rid of the Mega Tank. Artillery is what you need here. And Toulouse has none. He didn't build any. He built tanks. So Toulouse is not even going to bother attacking the tank. He's going to try and surround it. He's going to try and set up the... But the fact that he has no artillery in range and never blasted open this pipe seam is going to make this an extremely tough race for him. And Nonova now can use his lone battlecopter. And he kills the 2 HP tank. That is so lucky. Because now he can actually free his Mega Tank and build another Mega Tank off this base. Was that just the most insane luck roll ever? I think that tank was just very low on HP. 10 to 12. That tank was on 11 or 12 HP, ladies and gentlemen. That is insane. Because if it wasn't for this lone battlecopter right here, this tank would have been stuck in place. And yeah. And Toulouse immediately resigns on his opponent's turn, ladies and gentlemen. He resigns on his opponent's turn. Yeah, I think he was very upset about that 2 HP tank. Yeah, wow. Nonova is the winner, ladies and gentlemen. Nonova is the winner of the Advanced Wars Master League. A tournament that took 2 years to complete. He beat 32. Well, he didn't beat 32 opponents. There were 64 matches, 32 opponents, 32 players. He beat, what, 16? I think one. I think he beat 7. Math was never my strong suit, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He beat 6 very strong opponents over 2 years to get here, ladies and gentlemen. Beat 32 players. Oh, the things I say sometimes. I can't believe this tournament actually completed. I thought it was never going to be completed. But I'm very, very happy that it did. I've spoken to Nonova. He's already delegated a charity, which all the ad revenue will be donated to. And as always, if you guys would like to tip either of these players, how they decided to distribute the first player price. So it's going to be 2/3 to Nonova and 1/3 to Toulouse. So if you want to tip them, I'll throw in the tip myself. Give these players a bit of a payday because they definitely earned it. And yeah, this was a great match. A really, really great match. Spring in general is always fantastic, but these two players made it even more so. I think Nonova just had a better gameplay from the opener with the artillery, and just he was super aggressive with the interrupts and everything. He played absolutely beautifully. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. There probably will be another tournament organized soon. I kind of left a bad taste in my mouth that we never finished the Egg Cup. I kind of want to make the Noob Cup. So that's something that I'm interested in doing at some point. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, please leave a like. And, you know, if you want to check out the playlist for the other Master League games, definitely go have a watch. Just by watching them, you are contributing to the charity donation. My name is Mengs. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Congrats, Nonova.